Good morning, Madam Secretary. Before we begin, I'd like to just take a moment. I believe I owe an apology for my choice of words last week during the state loan and investment meeting. Mr. Secretary, I owe you a personal apology and an apology to the members of this board and the people of Wyoming. I should not have lost my composure, and I apologize for that. I have always hoped that citizens approaching either this board or others would welcome a relaxed, less formal approach, migrating into formality only when it's absolutely necessary. Unhappily, that sort of free interplay has demonstrated a tendency to degenerate into tit-for-tat exchanges that often do not advance the work of any of these boards. It is not my style to be formal. Nevertheless, in an effort to lower the temperature of potentially heated arguments, from now on, I would request that all commentary proceed through the chair and that commentary be delivered only when the chair recognizes the speaker. Moreover, I will retain the prerogative as chair to limit extended exchanges of rebuttals should that become necessary. Having said that, Madam Secretary, without any particular issues from the board, I'd like to proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Suzanne Norton, Administrator for the Construction Management Division of the State Construction Department and Secretary to the State Building Commission. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, before we begin with item 1, I'd like to take a moment to recognize a couple of staffing updates. We're pleased to announce that Ms. Shelley Lovato has accepted the Project Specialist and Recording Secretary position for the State Building Commission. She's here on Mr. Director McComie's right. Also with us today is Ms. Barbara Pace, who's in the audience. She's accepted the School Facilities Commission Recording Secretary and Business Manager position previously held by Shelley. Some of you may be familiar with Barbara from her prior service in a similar role for the Office of State Lands. We're grateful to both of them for their continued service and support of our department's commissions and committees. And with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Lovato to take the roll.
Good morning, Chairman. Superintendent Dagenfelder, Treasurer Meyer, Auditor Racines, Secretary Gray.
Here.
Chairman Gorman.
Here.
Senator Driscoll. Here. Senator Landon.
Here.
He is on.
There he is.
Representative Nicholas. Representative Angelos.
Excused. Thanks.
We have a quorum.
Yes, we have a quorum.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you very much. Mr. Secretary.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and just wanted to say I appreciate your apology. I accept your apology, and I just really believe in debate and respectful and calm debate, and I hope that we continue that as we continue to debate these really important topics and have important conversations about these important topics. So thank you.
Thanks. I would just note that if you could press your microphone on, Senator Landon might be able to hear you and anybody else who's online. Madam Secretary.
Mr. Chairman, item 1 is also approval of the agenda, and the commission recommends the meeting agenda as submitted.
Mr. Chairman.
Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would move approval of the agenda.
Second.
It's been seconded by the auditor. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? That motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, Commission, I'd also like to highlight that for your convenience, we've provided a second agenda that is a blue handout, so you can keep that handy on the side if you'd like.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, item 2 is the approval of the January 14th meeting minutes. The department recommends approval as presented. Also for awareness, there are 2 related items reflected in those minutes on page 7 of your packet. The St. Mary's property plaque and the Spanish American War Memorial, which are both returning for further discussion today.
Thank you. Members, any comments please, or color? If not, I'd entertain a motion. Thank you, Madam Auditor.
Of the minutes, as presented.
Is there a second for the auditor's motion?
Second.
It's been seconded by the superintendent. Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? That motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, item 3 is State Building Commission rules update. The Construction Management Division is recommending that the commission consider advancing updates across 3 separate rule topics. Item A is related to Executive Order 2026-1. The executive order, which mentions that we'll be bringing this to SBC, is on page 21. Item B is statutory updates associated with 2025 House Bill 86, House Enrolled Act 17, with the bill beginning on page 23 of the packet, and specific legislative direction for rulemaking on page 50 of the packet. And item C of the rules is clarifying provisions related to drone operations with additional information beginning on page 53. The commission may consider moving forward with one or more of these items independently or together at your discretion. The proposed motions are on page 17 and 18. A chapter and section index of the SBC rules is provided on page 19, and a full copy of the current rules is provided as a handout. Handout item 3 in front of you. If approved, the rules would proceed through the standard rulemaking process with potential draft rules approved in July. Public comment anticipated through mid-September. Returning of the rules for consideration to the commission in October for adoption and completion by year end. These are not anticipated to be major rules.
Thank you. Members of the board, what is your pleasure? You want to take these separately or together? I'm sorry, Madam Superintendent.
Mr. Chairman, that was going to be my question, if we want to work through them separately and discuss those. I mean, I assume the discussion here today is just moving forward on rule promulgation, not anything final. There's no language that's been drafted in any of them.
Mr. Chairman, Superintendent, that's correct.
The Madam Auditor.
Mr. Chairman, however, I would be comfortable putting them together if the only direction today is to say, bring us something to look at in July, where we would then kick off the rulemaking process.
That's fine with you. Okay, I'd entertain a motion on that, to that effect.
Mr. Chairman, I would make that motion that we just have state construction move forward with drafting draft rules to bring before us in July.
Second.
That's a second by the superintendent. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? I think you can move forward.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, item 4 is the financial report. These funds include SBC contingency, flex appropriation, and inflation reserve funds. They are intended to allow the commission and our facility owning agencies to be responsive, avoid delays, and preserve facility value. Since January, key changes in the SBC contingency include a $570,000 transfer to the military department to advance a project to shovel-ready status. Additional detail on that project is noted on page 115 of the information packet. Also, as approved by SBC, $2.3 million has been encumbered to address LCCC's, the community college here in Laramie County, their fire suppression system risk due to reduced water pressure provided by the public utility. The flex appropriation provides critical flexibility for projects outside major maintenance eligibility and particularly relevant in the next item, item 5. And the inflation reserve continues to buffer against cost escalation and protect project delivery. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Are there any questions? Madam Secretary, the one question that I am curious about is, do you have any idea what sorts of draws we may anticipate in this flex contingency over the next several months? Are there any things that might show up?
Mr. Chairman,
It-
there have been this fund has been holding very steady for a couple of years, I believe, since the beginning of fiscal year 2023. And where we have, this one is also eligible for inflation, mitigating inflation impacts. And where we have the inflation reserve fund, that really helps with keeping this one intact.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And if you could just give a little bit more background, I guess, on the use of this. As you know, over the last couple of years, have been sensitive to using flex for something that could be construed as CapCon. And then I look to our legislative partners too, as well, of optics of using that money for things that go outside the bounds of flex. But this project, it doesn't qualify for major maintenance, is an extension of square footage, but why otherwise would not be included as a CapCon request. I just want to make sure that, again, to our legislative partners, we're working within the bounds of our flex authority.
Mr. Chairman, Superintendent.
Madam Secretary.
My apologies, but item 5, this is item 4, and I'll go into more detail there. But to answer your question, the flex is intended to help. It offers the greatest amount of flexibility to the commission in order to help. And the item 5 is a proactive and cost-effective solution that avoids a future system shutdown that would impact 13 buildings and 60 residents, while also preventing significantly higher emergency response costs. And that's exactly what Flex is for. It certainly could have been a CapCon, and the mitigation, it is actually a mitigation of another CapCon project that had specific appropriations that went to the Flex account.
Okay, thank you. Please proceed.
Any other questions on item 4?
Mr. McComey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Del McComey, Director for the State Construction Department. Yesterday, we began our annual planning meetings with all of our state partners, and so we're kicking off that process. In regard to your question, Mr. Chairman, through that process over the next month or so, if we hear from any of our partners and the other agencies and the community colleges, there might be something that comes up, and certainly we could brief you at the July meeting if we're seeing anything that might be headed that direction that couldn't wait for an appropriation later in the year. So,
Thank you. Further discussion, comments? Mr. Treasurer.
Yeah, we can use this for Army National Guard, can't we? Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Further? Don't hear any. Please proceed.
Mr. Chairman, item 5 is the Wyoming Life Resource Center Mechanical Addition. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, item 5 is a request for up to $742,000 from the SBC Flex appropriation to complete the mechanical room addition at the Wyoming Life Resource Center Aquatic Center. The project addresses persistent humidity issues, unsafe congestion in the central utility plant. The addition allows relocation of critical equipment and restores safe maintenance access. The 388 square foot addition about doubles the size of the mechanical room. So while 600 or 700 square feet is not that much for a central utility plant that serves that many buildings, it does allow the proper layout for all of that equipment. Again, it's a proactive and cost-effective solution that avoids a future system shutdown that impacts 13 buildings and 60 residents while preventing significantly higher emergency response costs. Those costs would be related to relocating those residents somewhere else and also the potential of renting equipment to have outside on a trailer while while the project is complete. And so this is a very proactive, and the motion for potential acceptance of our recommendation is on page 57.
Very good. Are there questions?
Chairman,
Representative Nicholas, and then I'll see Representative or Senator. Sorry, I'll get there. Treasurer Meyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just a little background information on this. I remember sitting in the Wyoming Life Resource Center with the architects from back east on this particular room saying, it's way too small. You got to make it bigger. And the architect of record back then looked at me and says, you know what you're talking about, mister? I'm the architect here. This is the way it's going to turn out. So here we are.
Thank you. Mr. Treasurer.
just want to double check here on the numbers. You say we're authorized up to 742, but in the paragraph under that, there's a base contract at 325, and then the contract also includes an additive option of 690. So I'm just trying to figure out whether or not we got, basically $1,015,000 or we got 742.
Mr. Chairman,
Madam Secretary.
Mr. Chairman, Treasurer Meyer, the bid for both components, which is the portion of the project that's eligible for major maintenance, plus the portion that's not eligible for major maintenance, is $1,015,000. And then in addition to that, there are funds for a
Expansion.
no, the 742,000 is for the expansion.
Okay.
And then there's an additional amount within that 742 for the materials testing and inspections that will happen during construction.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Further questions? I would only note Director McComey and Secretary and Mr. Webb. I can remember watching Lloyd Larson try to navigate through that. I'm amazed that he could do it, but he did. But it was clear then how important this change was going to be. So, well, if there is no further discussion, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Treasurer.
I would move do pass on the director's recs on this.
Second.
Thank you, Madam Auditor. That's been seconded by the auditor. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Secretary is a no. Thank you. Please proceed.
Mr. Chairman, Commission, item 6 is a plaque for the St. Mary's property. It's a request for approval of a commemorative plaque concept for the former St. Mary's School site, fulfilling a contractual obligation established in 2006. CMD's developed multiple durable design options in coordination with stakeholders to ensure compatibility with the Capitol complex. Handouts include visual concepts, supporting correspondence, including endorsements from the Cathedral of St. Mary, and a confidential handout that includes preliminary cost information by a Wyoming vendor. And those are in front of you on the table, or some of it we have inserted into your packet. The costs are surprisingly affordable for the plaques themselves. We'll put that out for bid, but a Wyoming vendor did provide me some guidelines for what they would provide them for. And so I'm looking for direction from the commission on if you, referring to the letter from Mr. and Mrs. Ed and Karen Murray, and also a note from Father Gary Ruzicka regarding their recommendation for a two-sided plaque of A and B on a masonry pedestal.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, I'm going to sort of go around the table here, just to sort of get some perspectives on that. So I'm going to start from my left, Mr. Treasurer, and then I'll go to the representatives and senators. Mr. Treasurer, any particular thoughts?
You know, I guess my thoughts are try to make sure that we honor the request of the folks from the church, because it's going to represent that school. And that, as I look at these two, you've got a bronze plaque, and they want it two-sided. So I'm looking at that figure 16 location 1 on the handouts that we have here. That's probably closer to what they want. I think we need to have that back far enough from the sidewalk that if somebody jumps a curb that you gotta, watch out for the damage that might occur there. But so I guess that is what I see in the letters that we're getting from these folks. So I think that's probably just follow their lead.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. The treasurer's comment reminds me, I think in our briefing, you talked about how these can be designed in a way that they can topple over, I guess, if somebody hits them without doing a tremendous amount of damage. Is that?
Mr. Chairman, yes. The stakeholders for the Cathedral of St. Mary's recommends the masonry pedestal that's similar to all of the Capitol Bronze Project pedestals, so that if a car happens to jump the curb and run over it, they actually kind of just slide and does less damage to the car, does less damage to the pedestal generally has to be reconstructed, but the bronzes so far have survived.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Madam Auditor.
Mr. Chairman, I would agree, I think, with the recommendations that are proposed and supported by folks from the church. And I also would just note I noticed in the letter they called it a doghouse, which I don't want to, that makes it sound worse than it is. But I actually like that design, because I think if it's just straight up and down, if you go to one side of it, I would not think that it was two-sided. And the doghouse design makes it quite evident that there's things to look at on both sides. So I think that really highlights both sides of the proposed plaque in the best way. So I would hope to support that.
Thank you, Madam Auditor. Mr. Secretary.
Well, I guess I'd have a couple questions. I mean, the letter from the Murrays is pretty clear on what they want, but the letter from Father Gary just sort of, unless there's another section to it, it just says that he accepts all the designs. Was there any indication on which one he preferred?
Madam Secretary.
Mr. Chairman, Secretary Gray, not sure how to. I believe that's within character of someone in his position to respond in a very gracious way, and not necessarily put personal. He's just grateful that we are following through on the commitment that we have.
Mr. Secretary.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, yes, thank you. And I think that's great, and really appreciate Father Gary's work on this. So I guess we have three options, right? So, we'd have to choose two of the three for the front and back. I mean, I've always preferred the post, but, I think Karen and Ed Murray's, Mr. and Mrs. Murray's letter says that they prefer the masonry pedestal. So, I mean, I'll defer to that, but, just my personal preference, I like the post because I think you can read it more from the street and I think it's more prominent, but seems like the Murray letter, suggests the masonry pedestal.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm fine with the doghouse, lack of a better term. I think long-term too, if we can eliminate having to replace it, if there's damage or a car runs into it, then that's long-term a cost savings to us. And how many years are we behind getting this installed, Madam Secretary?
Mr.
Madam
Chairman.
Thank you.
Superintendent Dagenfelder, the agreement was signed in 2006. The property became property of the state in 2009. And the agreement stated that when the property became occupied for any purpose is when the plaque should have been provided. I think the parking lot project where it became occupied would have been 2010 or 2011. I would add that at that time there was a level 1 and 2 ongoing to build a state office building on that property, which would have been swing space for the Capitol restoration. And that, due to economic constraints, was vetoed by a governor. And so 2009, 2010, so 16 years.
Superintendent.
And Mr. Chairman, Madam Secretary, I don't mean for that to be, a slight in any way to how that occurred, just that, we ought to put our best foot forward and make sure that we have something that'll stand the test of time. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Driscoll.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Not a whole lot of comments other than I support the masonry one. I think it's incredible what Cheyenne's done with the masonry on the corners, and I think it matches the rest of town. And I think they're rapidly getting onto a place that it's worth driving around town just to look at all the street corners, and this adds into it. It's a good testament to what it was and where Wyoming's come. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Landon.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would echo the senator's comments and appreciate Co-Chairman Racina's too. I think the masonry really fits in. I like the fact that this is not, not a size that will take away line of sight in a pretty important part of our capital. And I think this project, Mr. Chairman, points to the opportunity that we're going to have coming forward on several fronts for the outside environs. Now that we have finished up for the most part the beautiful state capitol, I think there's going to be a lot of talk about what do we do in that 6-block area down in our capital city. And I think the executive branch and the legislative branch will have an opportunity to play a role. So I support the masonry and the location, and appreciate state construction getting this to the fore. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator Landon. Representative Nicholas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would concur with that. I think out of the options presented, this is the most subtle, most classic for the area. We all know that this could be moved again at some point in time, depending on what we do with that lot and where we put it. But it's just nice to get it up, and I like the ability to actually see the size and mass of that building, so people understand it. So I appreciate that. That looks good. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative. So I think there is consensus, and we're working our way to a motion, but I think there's consensus on masonry. I do wonder about the particular plaques, and if we're doing a two-sided doghouse, You know, one is going to be looking more towards the capital, which in my view tends to recommend the one with the dome in the distance. And the other could represent with a good narrative what is on that particular site. That's just an observation. But I'll start from right to left if there's any observations on that with the superintendent, and then go to the secretary, and we'll do this the other way. So, Madam Superintendent.
Mr. Chairman, Madam Secretary, can you also, so concept A, B, or C, so those are the plaques, not the masonry versus the standalone, yes?
Madam Secretary.
Mr. Chairman, Superintendent, yes, that's correct.
Mr. Chairman, I would say further, I think your observation is a good one. I think that makes the most sense in terms of which side that we're placing them. So I'd be favorable towards that.
Thank you. Madam Secretary.
Mr. Chairman, the confidential handout B for item 6 that has the pricing on it, that information with the pricing just arrived late yesterday. And I did not have the opportunity to visit with the Murrays regarding the fact that A, B, and C all have fairly similar prices. I mean, in the magnitude of pricing, it's kind of a surprise to me that B and C are both affordable. And I think we could potentially do B and C with the agreement of the endorsement from the Cathedral of St. Mary's, with one with the dome and the other with the straight on perspective of the facility. So they're both beautiful plaques, and not one is not just text.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I think my sense here is perhaps if we come to some conclusion about exactly what this should look like, it might be nice to have a mock-up that we can move somewhat expeditiously once we've seen actually what it's going to look like. Does that make sense to you?
Mr. Chairman, yes, we have these two boards that are in front of us are the actual size of the proposed with this one over here. Well, actually, I'm not sure which one is which, but the one for the post is about 24 by 24. And then the regular handout 6 had A, B, and C. So they are mock-ups of the size. However, I don't have the masonry pedestal mocked up.
Fine. And that's sort of my view is once we make some decision here, then being able to understand what the cost is and how it's going to look would be really nice. So thank you, Madam Secretary. Mr. Secretary.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really like having A and B, A on one side and B on the other side. I think having B and C, it's just, I don't know, it's a little bare on the B side. And I like having, something with the text. And so I really would like to have A on one side and B on the other. I mean, I know that wasn't really an option given, but I mean, that's certainly possible, right?
Mr. Chairman,
Madam Secretary.
Secretary, yes.
Yeah, so that's my preference is to have A on one side and B on the other.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Madam Auditor.
Mr. Chairman, I like that idea. My only concern is that A was anticipated to be 24 by 24, and so it's getting awfully small if we shrink that down. So I suppose we would need to see a markup like that. I think it's going to be pretty compressed because it's less than half the size. It would be A, which I love, but it is less than half the size of that proposal. So I think it could be tough to read, maybe not. I guess we do have it there.
Madam Auditor, I
Yeah.
think that's exactly where it is.
Yeah.
So,
It's not too bad, I guess.
thank you, Madam Auditor. Mr. Treasurer.
I guess what I'd say when the mock-ups, if that's those are actually 12 by 12. I think the one on top isn't 12 by 12. To me, whatever the size the mock-ups are, I'm fine, but if you do the one that has both the type and the building, that looks like it's more like a 12 by 16 or something there. So that, I'm not sure how you would put that on one side and the other one on the other side. They may have to be changed a little bit as far as the one, but I was actually thinking to be something in the middle that would be more like a 15 by 20 or something, just a little bit bigger, but then you could probably use this 24 by 24 one on that. But if I guess what I'd say is whatever the size is on the board is the mock-up. And to me, it looks bigger than 12 by 12, but whatever that is, maybe it's a 15 by 15.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. That's Madam Secretary, that's 12 by 12.
Mr. Chairman, this sheet of paper is 11 inches by 17 inches.
11 by 17.
So
Okay.
it's a little 11 and a half
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
by
Treasurer.
12.
But I think the auditor's right that it gets a little small. You want to be able to have somebody that's, doesn't need readers to read the thing when you're standing over it. So
Madam Secretary.
can I read it from there? No,
No.
almost. I can read the big print.
All right, thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Representative Nicholas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got a couple of questions about it. The first is, when was the actual building torn down? Because it was long before 2009 that this was taken down, and then there was a new St. Mary's on top of it, and there was the gymnasium. So there's a lot of history in between then and say just having 2009 on that. So I think it's kind of misleading to say 2009, just for how long that building's been gone. So then I got to thinking about it more. I wonder if we want to have a barcode or something on it that will give us the history of the site over time, if people are interested in it, because there's a lot of history there in the old school. And we could talk about, their basketball team and on different things like that and some of their achievements over time. And just perhaps even have more pictures on it through a barcode of how it's transitioned over time, when the gymnasium and the new school and that type of thing. Has there been any consideration of that? Because I think it would be nice to look into.
It's a good idea, Representative. Secretary, do you have any thoughts on that?
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
Commission, I too love that idea and think it would be completely appropriate in doing the research to find these images, to create the artwork. I was stunned and pleased to see so many pictures, and the interior of the building that was under construction at the same time as the Capitol, or a little bit before, looks very similar to what I think the Capitol would have been. If we would have had those photos handy, we would have been thinking more about decorative paint. And so I think a barcode to go to a website that's tied to, Capitol Square, I think would be great. As far as what has been presented to you, it was for the mere, last in January, it started out as the most basic, boring suggestion that there could be, with just what was required by the agreement. And so this conversation has helped develop it. And I think that's a great idea. And I think that maybe the motion could allow us to work further with the stakeholders and potentially the governance committee too.
Okay, if without objection, Mr. Secretary, I was going to recognize the auditor. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Madam
Yes, sir.
Auditor.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I too agree that that's a great idea. A couple thoughts. I mean, we're way over time on getting this done and recognizing the school. The other thing that I've come to know on the wayfinding committee is that one of the cool things that can be done is you can add a QR code of for example, if we were to go ahead and move forward with this, get this plaque up in this material, you can add a QR code to it later, and that's possible in all sorts of different materialities. So it looks appropriate to the primary structure. My concern is if we try to integrate that into the primary structure, first off, we would have to have all of that content essentially ready before we could move forward and get this up. Secondly, a removable piece, QR code or otherwise, then allows for changing technology. For example, I wouldn't want to, this is hopefully a piece that's going to be there for a really, really long time, and QR code technology could change, go away, shift. So I think that's a great idea, but I think it also could be added at a later time while we move forward with the primary purpose of checking this contractual obligation.
Thank you, Madam Auditor. Mr. Secretary.
Well, Mr. Chairman, appreciate the auditor's comments and appreciate the representative too. I don't think having a barcode on the plaque though, I mean, I think we'd have to get some other sort of way of doing it. I don't even know if that can be done with a barcode on a plaque, but I think we should just get this done in some way and then think about other ways of, elaborating later. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do think that we should add something. I think I envision it not being on the plaque, but separate from it, but permanent to the structure of a QR code, because I do think that's important. And I appreciate the comments on, most people aren't going to have their readers on them when they're taking a stroll about the area there. And so, as much as I plaque A is my preference, I think probably B and C combination makes the most sense in terms of sizing. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Landon, then I'll go to Senator Driscoll. Senator Landon.
Well, Mr. Chairman, really appreciate the debate. I'm good with any option, quite frankly, and just glad we're going to try to get something done. I share the concern that that we make sure we make it big enough without being gaudy, but I do want it to be big enough that people can easily walk up and see it. And so I appreciate everybody's comments. Thanks.
Thank you, Senator Driscoll. And then I'll see you, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Follow up just a little, unless it just drives cost wildly, I think I'd look at a 24 by 24 type thing. I think that solves a lot of the problems on what you do. These to me, not about gaudy. It really is. I'm a tourism guy, and it's about actually making it where when someone's walking by or driving by, it creates a reason. And with that being said, the QR codes they put on everything now, and you can make them tiny. We use them a lot in our stuff, and I think it's really a brilliant idea to do it. I think the state really needs to start looking, tourism's funding a lot of our stuff, and we really need to start looking at how as we integrate our stuff in, how it helps drive tourism. I think Cheyenne's on its way to being a fairly neat spot that drives that way. And I think it's been a side thought in the past. And I think we need to really pay attention to making it where it does. And it also makes your town attractive. And, I look at what the Capitol has done, and you folks need more parking around here now for the people that are visiting, not the people that are working here. And it's kind of fun to see that. And so for me, I'd really like us to consider going to a 24 by 24, which makes it just a little bit more visible and a little easier to see. And it makes these plaques where they're probably a little more functional. When you look at the cost of what we do on stuff, if it drives a little cost, it's probably not the end of the world. And long-term, I think the benefits are great. So I'd appreciate your thoughts on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Mr. Secretary.
Well, thanks. And I had a question off that point, which is that, you know, there seems to be some concern that there's a mismatch between Plaque A being 24 by 24 and then B and C being 10 by 12. But I mean, B or C could be adapted to the A size, right? I mean, it's not intrinsic that there's a mismatch, right?
Madam Secretary.
Mr. Chairman, Secretary Gray, yes, certainly those that are shown on the 11 by 17 can be enlarged slightly, so the text might be the same as or similar to what's on the 24 by 24 mock-up. However, without making the plaque so large. And I do think that the stakeholders did send me some information that if desired, you know, you could make the pedestal just a little bit bigger, which then would make the plaque a little bit bigger. And we could work towards that end.
Mr. Secretary.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just think that we should do the larger size, and I think one of the sides should be this combined text image approach. And then what's on the other side, I mean, I could go back and forth between B and C, although I lean towards B because it's the full size, you know, it's the full frontal structure. But I really think we should do A and B with the larger size. It's my personal view. I just think this combined deal, it's exquisite. I mean, you get the side view, it connects with the Capitol, and then on the other side, you get the frontal view of the structure. The text that's in C is identical to the text, you know, and somebody can correct me here, but I've checked this now 3 times. I mean, it's identical to the text in A, and correct me if I'm wrong. So I don't think we're losing anything by combining it other than maybe some perspective, but I think with the larger size, it makes up for it. So I just think we should do A and B with the larger size. My humble opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I think there's been a good discussion. I actually like the idea of some QR code, but I also like the idea that it can be, that it's not permanently a part of the plaque because there may be changes. And it also seems to me that if that effort is successful, it may be something that you want to put on the Spanish War Memorial, the Fallen Soldiers Memorial, Fallen Police Officers Memorial, and you know, can integrate into that longer view of kind of the path of honor that we've been talking about. So I would love if they, if your design crew could kind of take a look at what it might be to attach something, because you could go above, it could go below. It doesn't necessarily have to be part of the plaque, I don't believe. It also seems to me, with regard to font size and font, that it might make sense to look at a number of the other commemorative sort of plaques that are around and try to align that to some degree. You know, the Daughters of the American Revolution and some others have already sort of established that. And so I don't want to put a lot of extra work, but I'd love to, in terms of finding a mock-up, it would be great to sort of be able to experiment with whether it's a 24 by 24, whether it's a 17 by 11, whether it's an 8 by 10, whatever that might be, just to see, and we have digital capabilities here just to sort of see what sort of makes sense for the setting. And then that would sort of be my pleasure. And I tend to agree with the secretary. I like the, you know, the facade there, just to sort of demonstrate what it was. But I think the history is also incredibly important because that isn't what I remember. So,
Mr.
thank you,
Chairman.
Mr. Treasurer.
Yeah, I actually like the proportionalities of the 10 by 12. So if we just doubled it and went 20 by 24, I think that you'd have plenty of room to use the one that's on the 24 by 24. And I think it looks better on the with B, I think, in that 10 by 12, so that same proportionality. So that, I think that gets it big enough, but it doesn't look that square. I just like the basically just the different, sides. So.
And
I
Mr.
think that
Treasurer,
gets it there.
I would only note that it's about 4 times the cost. So I'd love to understand what the varieties were. Senator Landon.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I just wanted to throw out, we will be meeting with the Wayfinding and Historical Exhibit Committee, which will potentially morph into a little bit different committee going forward. Maybe I speak for the co-chairman, but we would be happy to take this up as a subcommittee to finish up what has been talked about today and what the desires of the electeds are. If that fits, we'd be happy to take this up and finish it up.
Thanks. Madam Co-Chair, what are your thoughts on?
Mr. Chairman, if that's the desire of this board, we certainly can. I'm not sure this board is already fairly in the weeds on this, so I don't know if adding the subcommittee would provide any more value at this point, to be honest, if we're getting pretty specific, if that makes sense. But
Thank you.
like I said, if that was the will, we'd certainly take it up.
Thank you, Madam Auditor. Madam Secretary, and thank you for that suggestion, Senator Landon. Madam Secretary, I don't know where these came from and whether their capabilities are such that, we could have some renderings of different sizes and then kind of some comparisons with other plaques that are around. So it's not way outsized or way different in terms of its appearance, if that makes sense. Madam Secretary.
Mr. Chairman, the artist is here with you.
Oh,
And yeah, I can make anything you want.
can-do attitude. Love it. Very good. Members of the board, it seems we've come to a couple of things on this. We've agreed on the doghouse approach. We've not necessarily agreed on the size, but I think maybe we can belay that for a bit. Is there a particular preference in terms of which plaque goes on which side? And I guess I'll sort of throw that out. I think the secretary has offered his observation. And then if others want to do that as well, I'll start with the secretary. Mr. Secretary, I think you said you wanted A on one side and B on the other, regardless of necessarily what size we come to.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. And I do think you understood that is what I said. I appreciate that. And I think A would face the street and then B would face the other way. That's my preference, but
Okay.
thank you.
Madam Superintendent.
Yeah, that's Mr. Chairman, excuse me. That's fine by me. I mean, I'm comfortable with A and B if we extend the size a little bit larger. And so I think that we're in agreement on the masonry and it's just size. And it seems like there's consensus on A and B if we just have a little bit larger, so then we can move forward on that.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Treasurer, and then I'll end with the auditor.
I think if you do this circular walkway as it's depicted in Circle 16, it doesn't make any difference what's on either side because people are going to walk around it. But yeah, I think if you did 20 by 24, that would be big enough to, I think that would be, I think the way to go, but it's, the masonry, I don't believe is priced in this because they get a post and hardware. So, that cost will go up with the masonry, I would think somewhat, because you're going to have, and I don't believe we probably have the walkway and all of that stuff figured in there. So I think probably try to get if that figure 16, if we could agree that's the presentation, then we'll better know what the cost would be. So.
And Ms. Treasurer, just to be clear, A and B, are those fine with you?
Yeah. If if you have a circular walkway like that's in figure 16, then people walk around it, so you really don't have a side one way or the other. Yeah, and as far as whether one's on the street or one's not on the street, I think when we get the mock-ups, then we can look at which one's facing what from the street, because you want something distinctly enough, I think, on the street so people see something. And I don't think it be face the street. Then when you were going by it, you'd see a plaque with a big building on it. You might be curious what it is. If you see writing on there, you might stop and try to read it from the street and rear end somebody.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Madam Auditor.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have strong feelings about which side goes which way, so I'll
But
defer.
A and B are,
A and B, yes.
thank you.
Mr. Mr. Chairman.
Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the only thing that prohibits us from moving forward today, I suppose, is just the cost between those two size differentials, because I think we're in agreement on all the other specifics. Is that correct?
But for me, I just wanted to have a variety and understand how it meshed with the other signage around the Capitol, if there is anything that we should know there. And I just noted the cost just from just to note it. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying that it is more expensive. I don't have any particular problem. I'd love to see a few different types of installations, but I think A and B are the two that we're looking at. Thanks. Senator Driscoll, Senator Landon, any?
Mr. Chairman,
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I apologize to the good senator, but just real quickly, I'm good with A and B. I think you're on the right track. And I also appreciate your comments regarding, I think there are certain consistencies that we're going to want to think about as we go forward. So well stated on that front, Mr. Chairman, but I think you're on a good track with this, and it'll be an attractive addition. So thank you.
Thank you. Senator Driscoll.
Mr. Chairman, not much further, just I really do think the larger makes more sense. I realize it drives costs 3 or 4 times, but long-term, 100 years from now, I don't think you're gonna notice the difference when you look at what we invest around Capitol Square.
Thank you. Representative Nicholas. No comment. Well, I think we've probably got some good direction. If somebody wants to craft a motion, I would certainly entertain it. Madam Auditor.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that the commission direct state construction to proceed with I think plinth is the right word, not doghouse, perhaps. Masonry design with moving forward with the concepts of panels A and B. And perhaps have maybe 2 size markups for us to review. Perhaps the smaller and then a larger as well for our next meeting.
You've heard the auditor's motion. Is there a second? It's been seconded by the secretary. Is there any discussion?
I do have.
Mr. Secretary, then the treasurer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do you think I'm asking this to the auditor and the state construction folks. I mean, do you think we really need to see this one more time? I mean, this is, I don't know what the installation time period is, but I mean, we might be looking to the fall here, even at the end of the year, if we wait for the next quarterly meeting. I guess that's my first question.
Madam Auditor and then Secretary.
Mr. Chairman, I don't necessarily think that we do. My only concern is moving to the 24 by 24 size. It might be nice so that the figure 16 on page 1, that really gives us some sizing perspective. So that would be my only concern if we're making that 2.5 times bigger, and I just want to make sure that still sort of fits our goals.
Thank you, Madam Secretary.
Mr. Chairman, Commission, I think I would propose that perhaps we make some mock-ups, potentially meet with you individually so that you can see them, put out a bid for the complete amount of work and bring it to you. We can bring it to you at the next meeting and be able to, you know, we can check all the boxes. We want this size, this orientation, and so on. And that might involve a couple of like little site walks or something. But I think that that's doable.
Yeah.
And would be in line with the timeline anyway.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I think that probably makes sense. It's going to take time to figure out who can form these and a number of other things. We can work pretty expeditiously in the interim, it seems to me. If there is need for some sort of special meeting or something, I think we've done that before. But I think it probably makes sense to get it right. The only other thing that I was a little bit concerned about is if there are considerations about mass on a road. I mean, this is a federal highway, and I don't know if there is some constraint in terms of whether it can be located on the sidewalk just off or have to be 15 feet away or whatever it is, but I'd love to understand what the constraints on that would be. Director McComey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In a past life with the DOT, based on the speed limits there, you don't need a lot of distance from the curb simply because of the speeds that are located in a community. So I think we're probably with the setback, because there is some grass and you have the sidewalk and then setting that back. I think we're probably okay with that. And then the other thing is that the design of this is actually set up to be movable, which allows for that quote unquote breakaway design that you see on typically along highways. So I think we're probably good in that respect.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. Further discussion?
One more thing.
Mr. Secretary.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think this approach is fine and happy we're getting this done. I think it's really important. The one thing I would ask staff is if we could, and I'll try to do it as well, but if you could reach out to all of the representatives from the church that have weighed in on this, because I just want to make sure, I mean, I think A and B is the way to go, but that was not one of the proposals. And so I just want to make sure that they're not feeling that that's a bad way. So I think that's one advantage of this, is to just make sure that they're on board. So if we could do that, I appreciate it. And I'll try to do it as well.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Is there further discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Treasurer.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I guess you were going to recognize me after the secretary. You went ahead and had conversations, and so I just want to make sure if we're going to do regular order that we continue with regular order.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Treasurer, for correcting me on that.
So I guess when you say a smaller one and a larger one, I don't believe that anybody here wants to do a 10 by 12 or a 12 by 12. So when we look at the larger ones, I'd say do the 24 by 24, do a 20 by 24 or something like that, something that's more proportional. I think that the rectangular version from the street will look a lot more appealing than what I see there in figure 16. Unless there's an objection to wanting to go to something smaller than a 20 by 24, I'd like to see those two mock-ups, 20 by 24 and the 24 by 24. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Madam Auditor, it appears to me that your motion would accommodate that.
Yes, I think so. And I like that idea because I think we've concluded that the smallest mock-up is probably going to be too small.
Thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? That motion carries. Please proceed.
Mr. Chairman, Commission members, item 7 is an update on the reinstallation of the Spanish-American War Memorial and confirmation to proceed with conservation and site preparation consistent with your January approval of location A. The memorial requires restoration, reassembly, and the approved location supports an emerging path of honor near the State Museum, providing an appropriate reflective setting. The handout for item 7 provides updated visuals and notes the anticipated installation timing later this year. There's a handout. I'm not necessarily certain that we need a motion, but just your thoughts on what you think of the visuals, and if you have any questions from the military department or the museum, we have folks here that could answer questions.
I'll recognize the secretary.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to ask here, I mean, we've got 250 here. Is there any way we could try to get this done by 250? I mean, I really appreciate the work, but I mean, it'd just be really great to have it out here when this parade happens. And I think it's going to be a great moment for our state, for our country. And I just would love to try to have it out. I mean, is there any way we can try to get this done?
Madam Secretary.
Mr. Chairman, I cannot speak to the conservation effort that's required for the hand taking the oath. I suppose we could put it in motion. We could get the foundation cast, the sidewalks in, the base begun to be set, and perhaps move the soldier in when it's ready. I invite Mr. Ramler at the chairs.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Mr. Ramler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kevin Ramler, Director of the Wyoming State Museum. We have, with the approved site, been able to get an updated proposal from the conservator, but they were not able to get us onto their yearly calendar until this proposed date that you see on the handout in September. There's 2 people there's none in Wyoming, there's 2 in Colorado firms that do this type of work. It's a really specialized type of work. And so we have been in communication with them for years on this project, frankly. And so we're excited to be able to move forward with it, but they just weren't able to get it into their schedule that quickly.
Thank you. Director, are there questions for the director? Thank you. Representative Nicholas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So could you just explain what do we need to do to actually hire them and get it done and just get the ball rolling down the sidewalk?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Nicholas, we are currently moving through the procurement process. So, I don't think that we're going to have any issue getting that money encumbered before the end of the biennium. But yeah, we're just moving through that procurement process. It's currently, in contracting.
So to follow up,
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Please, Mr.
could you just tell us what that means in terms of timing? Okay, or you need help to expedite it or make?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Nicholas, it's not so much that's the holdup. It's really their ability and availability on the contractor side of when they could make the time to say it's going to be a multiple week project for them to come in and do the restoration. They're also managing the reinstallation, bringing in the crane and all of that. And so it was really on their end that's when they had the availability to come up here and do that work. Not so much, I think, we will have that contract in place, presumably within the next couple months.
Thank you, Representative. Any more?
Yeah.
Mr. Secretary.
Mr. Chairman, do you think you could ask them one more time and see and just explain the parameters of the 250 and just see if maybe they got time?
Mr. Chairman,
Director, please.
Mr. Secretary, I'd be happy to follow up with them and continue the conversations with the state construction side on getting that sidewalk and foundation, if it's possible to do that in that time frame. We'll explore that, absolutely.
Thank you, Director. Further questions?
Mr. Follow-up? Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Representative Nicholas.
So I'm curious if we have decided on the sidewalks, because I'm looking at the picture on handout 7, and that looks over sidewalked to me. And you got little bits of grass that are little clover leaves. That doesn't make sense. So is there a design for that, or has it been approved, or what's the status?
Madam Secretary.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Nicholas, the artist doing the best she can. The little diamond there at the lower right corner shows that I had Gemini's help, which is Google Platforms AI, which is not obedient. And this isn't exactly what I asked for, but in deadline time for printing and distributing, I was like, oh, good enough.
Yeah, that's all I want.
Yeah, I do, Representative Nicholas.
We're ready for Gemini too.
Madam Secretary, it would seem, I mean, I think we've got sort of the basic elements of the design. It'd be nice to see the mock-up, and then perhaps it would also be valuable to take a look at because I'm not clear that we've decided on the best location yet. I think that probably will take a bit of time as well, and probably the involvement of the church. I know they've said wherever it is, we just want it, but I bet they probably have some ideas about it as well. So if that is responsive to you, Representative. Senator Landon, you came back on. Is there something you wanted to add?
No, I think we're good, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. We have spent quite a little bit of time on the subcommittee with this particular project, so we're kind of up to speed and know what it's going to take. And as Kevin pointed out, it's going to take a little while to get things in place. I share the Secretary's notion that it sure would have been nice if we'd have had it done by July, but sometimes these things take a little while. So thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Chairman.
Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So Madam Secretary, so what decision do you need from us today on this project?
Mr. Chairman, Superintendent Degenfelder,
Madam Secretary, I'm just thinking most of the decisions have been made with the exception of of exactly what the walkway would look like.
sidewalks, I think, is the only thing that hasn't been done. And Representative Nicholas, one sure way to decide whether you have the correct sidewalks or not is to use the cattle trail method, is that you put it up and then you see where people make the path. And that's where you put the sidewalk. And so we could just put it on a circular and then work out the rest later. Or work with, not Gemini to decide where we put it. We'll do it in CAT.
Secretary Ornette, thank you for that. Representative, any follow-up? Any discussion? It would be helpful to see it in place. I think if that's an approved method, certainly I understand it. Cattle trails work. So, is there further discussion on this? Further discussion? Okay. I think we'll have a follow-up. Director Ramler, if there's any possible way to move this up, I think without having to put the extra walkways in from our side, it would be a little bit simpler, but they may just not be able to schedule. So Director Ramler.
Mr. Chairman, certainly I'll follow up as soon as I can get that information, and we'll get an email out to him this morning and see what we hear.
Thank you very much. Anything more on this?
Mr. Chairman, no, we're ready for item 8.
Okay.
Commissioners, Mr. Chairman, item 8 is the State Construction Department update, including the 2026 legislative session, our facility planning process. I'll turn it over to Director McComey for additional detail, including a Uinta Trade School update.
Director McComb.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to provide the commission with a brief update on the past legislative session in regards to the items that the commission worked on this past year. I would like to note that, you know, it's an update on the legislative session, but it truly started about this time last year to get to where we're at today and through the session. As I noted earlier this morning, yesterday we kicked off our agency reviews with a couple of agencies. And that really starts this process that we're able to bring to this body and to your subcommittee, Mr. Chairman, on construction. You know, what we're looking at for funding that the commission later votes on, budget presented to you, and then it goes to the legislature. In the legislative process, it actually kicked off back in December when we met with the Joint Appropriations Committee. And I think a point that I'd like to make there is that in our discussions with the committee, it was very important to the committee that these projects that were forwarded here and passed had been through this body, had been vetted, and there was a lot of discussion on that, you know, we were able to give context again, that it starts now. We're just reporting that legislature's just finished up, but we're already as an agency looking at next year's budget and what needs to be there and working with, again, our sister agencies and community colleges. And so I think overall the session went very, very well. We had a good reception from the Joint Appropriations Committee on the budget, both on the school side and on the state capital construction. We received about $461,575,555 for the state CapCon budget overall. You can see that, Mr. Chairman, on page 60. Of note, the SBC contingency and level 1, level 2 projects were funded. The Veterans Home was fully funded, and we have some $19 million remaining from the previous obligation. And so we're kicking that project off very soon. First meeting, Mr. Webb? May 6th. So we'll be starting on that project right away. We do have a CMAR selected for that particular project. In the overall budget, Mr. Chairman, that you submitted, there was room left for the legislature. You provided some dollars for their review and overall what they could work with in the budget. And so there was some things added during the process that were not in your budget proposal, but they were projects that for the most part came through this body and were approved. So we saw there was projects added for the renovation on the outside of the buildings. Again, the concrete issues up at LCCC. So those 4 projects were added on the House side and went over to the Senate. In addition to that, there was an addition for the science building at the Northwest Community College in Sheridan, the renovation of that. And again, those are noted on, the dollars are noted on those particular projects there. And then once it got over to the Senate side, there was 2 additions there. One for the community college project up in Jackson. It's $750,000 with a dollar match on that for a total of $1.5 million. And that's mainly for the internal culinary services and the stuff that's going to be added inside the building. And then there was also added for the Enzi Center for the community college in Gillette. And Mr. Chairman, I think you're all aware that Gillette is in the process of formalizing another community college. So we'll go from 7 to 8 community colleges. And so that was $6 million with, again, a dollar-to-dollar match there. So a total of $12 million towards that overall project. Originally, the request on that particular project was for 16, and then a $16 million match for $32 million. There are, on this project, there's a number of notes within the body that says that they need to complete the process to get to community college and those sort of things. And then additional funding would probably come from local community towards that NZ Center. So again, looking at page 60, you'll see the capital construction projects. And those are really the pass-through that this body looked at. And this year, we did a little different presentation to the Joint Appropriations Committee to try and take those dollars that were typically passed through for the agencies and have a different dialogue with Joint Appropriations Committee. So you saw those broke out and that $7.3 million roughly move forward there. Within that $461 million, we did get our $233 million roughly plus for the major maintenance funding this year, and that was based on the factor of 2.5 that came through your budget recommendation. Both on the school side and on the capital construction side, Mr. Chairman, I think the legislature, the body as a whole, certainly this committee, the Committee for School Facilities, the Select Committee on School Facilities, all recognize the importance of major maintenance dollars and keeping up what we've already spent dollars on. And so when they broke these bills out, they handled it a little different this year on the capital construction on both those. They actually took them out of the budget and provided a separate bill. And as part of that separate bill, they noted that they added in major maintenance into those. And they did that because they thought, quote unquote, the comment in the committee is that it stood a better chance of passing the capital construction, the overall, based on the fact that it also contained the major maintenance. And again, I think that's important that the bodies have recognized that we need to maintain in the future all of these buildings, both school and state, that we have to the best ability to get the full life out of them. So I'm very pleased with that, Mr. Chairman. If you turn to page 61, Mr. Chairman, you'll see under section 10 that there was a direction or appropriation to take money from the Wyoming State Penitentiary Capital Construction Project in the amount of $10 million to look at the acquisition of land for the future state penitentiary. Again, under item C there, you'll note that there's a direction there that the State Construction Department work with the state lands, the Office of State Lands and the Department of Corrections to identify and evaluate a potential land acquisition. Back in the 2010s, Mr. Chairman, the department and the Department of Corrections actually undertook that, and we looked at some land north of Rawlins. There was due diligence done on that particular piece of land, and that is noted in this footnote that we need to go out and do the geology reviews, the due diligence on that land. So one of the things that we're trying to move forward there is that the site, the land, the due diligence has been done on some property north of Rawlins at this point in time. Since that point in time, our earlier discussions with the landowner, there's been some changes. I think about 3 or 4 times that land has actually changed ownership, but we still have a right of first of refusal. So I think it's important that we do move forward and secure that land in the future. Again, there's already been a lot of this work done that's required under this legislation. And so you'll see that coming before the commission in the future as we kind of move forward, and we'll certainly keep you updated on that. Mr. Chairman, the next item there, you'll see Senate File 001 in blue for the Chapter 44 of the Wyoming Session Laws. 2 things within that. That's our overall budget request for the department. We were able to secure 2 positions, and I'd like to thank and recognize Senator Driscoll and Senator Landon in particular for helping with that in discussions through the Senate and particularly in the Joint Appropriations Committee to secure those 2 positions. One is a backup position on our fiscal side of the House, helping with our AIM database and the fiscal things. As we move forward, we've really, I think, made big strides over the last decade in how we manage our data and forecasting tools. The work that we've done here, we just completed and actually entering the data now on all the state buildings, the facility condition index. We did that about a year and a half ago on the school side, but we still need to manage all that data. The other item that was in there was a position that will help, kind of a strategic position, helping with rulemaking, overseeing larger projects, particularly a lot of these consultant type projects, primarily on the school side, but it will be able to help on the state side also. And then we secured $750,000 for the strategic plan to move forward. We're currently working with both the school side and the CM side of the house, trying to put together an RFP to move forward with that. I'd like to kick that off as quickly as we can in July. This long-term strategic plan will take a look at really what, based on facility type, what we need for routine maintenance, give some idea on staffing and training for routine maintenance, then incorporate the two facility condition index scores on all the building, those projects, the FCAs on the school side, state side, to try and provide long-term forecasting for this body, for the legislature, 20-year look as to what we can expect for both buildings and long-term major maintenance. Is the money that we're being provided, and again, very grateful. The school side received about the same amount of major maintenance dollars, so about $235 million. So $460 million plus in major maintenance. Is that really changing that needle? And I think that strategic plan and the way we're set up now with the AIM database, we can make real-time corrections as we do improvements to buildings to modify those scores. We can kind of see what the condition's going to look like in the future. And again, I'm very hopeful that this 20-year strategic plan ties into what this commission has required for the state agencies to put together their own plans for their agencies, and we'll be incorporating that into a larger statewide plan. Again, that was $750,000. It came actually from legislation last year in House Bill 86 that directed the department to do that because of the budget dying last year in that $750,000 appropriation was in that. And so, again, the legislature saw fit to fund it this year, and we're certainly grateful for that. Then the next item, Mr. Chairman, is the facility planning for 2026. As I mentioned, we've kicked that off. So this list of projects 1 through 6 that you see here are projects that did not get funded. They were projects that came before the commission last year. The commission approved those particular projects. And so depending on the outcome of our meetings with our sister agencies over the next month, 2 months, we'll hear back from them as to what their priorities are. You very well may see these move forward again. But again, that's going to be in a dialogue with the sister agencies, and then we'll be bringing that to your construction committee overall. Item number 8 down at the bottom there is the Uinta Trade School, and I apologize for the typo on Uinta there, but it is Uinta Trade School update. What we have going on there, we actually talked with OSLI yesterday to kind of give an update. I believe this particular body under the SLIB work that you do had a briefing here recently from them. There will be probably some modifications to the contract. They're still working through that contract with the trade school to try and see how that's going to move forward. And I expect you'll probably be hearing from the SLIB on their next opportunity as to what that update looks like. And then again, at our July meeting, perhaps with those changes, we'll have a more of an update. But it does sound like there's still interest in moving forward with that particular work by the trade school and the buildings there. And so we're just trying to finalize those details as we work through that. So with that, Mr. Chairman, happy to entertain any questions that the committee may have.
Are there questions for Director McComey? Any questions? Thank you. That was a very comprehensive report. We appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Secretary Norton.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, item 9, beginning on page 62, is the event and exhibit permit review, which includes a range of public events scheduled across Capitol facilities. Beginning at the January 1st, we've implemented an online Google form process to improve tracking and coordination, with a sample included on the following page of what that tracking looks like. Item 9 also provides a handout. There's a legal size handout that is a draft list of semi-quincentennial events currently being planned, and we anticipate supporting those through coordination permits as needed. The list is subject to change. It's all the things that the semi-quincentennial planning committee is working towards to happen here in the Capitol complex on July 4th. And of course, that will be in the past at our next meeting. So.
Very good. Thank you, Secretary. Are there questions for the Secretary on any of the handouts or any of the events? Madam Secretary, I think when we met, we were talking a little bit about the design on the second handout, which is on page 63, just to try to make it a little more informative. I think it's great now, but I think it can be improved.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, we will certainly do that, try to keep it in the same format as what you see on page 62.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? There are none. Please proceed.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, item 10 includes capital construction and major maintenance updates across agencies. I'll turn it over to Mr. Webb for project updates and introductions to our other reporting agencies.
Mr. Webb.
Mr. Chairman, Dave Webb, Construction Management Supervisor, State Construction Department, Construction Management Division. Starting on page 64, we have the capital construction major maintenance project updates. That's from page 64 to 78. From the January meeting to date, we have no new items added. All projects are on schedule and proceeding accordingly. Director McComey stole my thunder on the Vets Home funded, but again, that we have a re-kickoff meeting scheduled for May 6th. Is there any projects that you would like to discuss at this time?
Members of the board and others, are there projects on this list that anybody wants to?
Mr. Chairman.
Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a question I mentioned in our briefing as well, just on the Veterans Home. If we have any timeline that we expect to receive word from the feds on reimbursable amounts, or it's just kind of when they let us know where we're at on the list? And have we seen any change in the order on the list?
Mr. Webb.
Mr. Chairman, Superintendent, they'll let us know when they know. And there's no change in the order on the list.
Thank you, Madam Super. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Mr. Webb.
Mr. Chairman, continuing on section 10A. Section 10A is agency major maintenance project summary. In the first 3 quarters of FY26, the State Construction Department has expensed, so that's paid, $24,289,849 in major maintenance funds. A summary of the state agency facility projects and contracts and other expenses completed or currently in progress from March 16th of 2024 through March 16th of 2026 is attached, and that's from pages 80 through 104, if there's any questions.
Thank you. Are there questions on the major maintenance? Mr. Webb, two that I was curious about. I have no confirmation of this, but I had heard, quote unquote, that we lost one of the chillers on the roof during the windstorm. It would have been the roof of the Hirschler East. I don't know if that's true or not, but then I noticed that there was some work above the cup, and I was kind of curious what that was.
Mr. Chairman, I think we have Mr. Coleman from ANI.
Mr. Coleman.
Mr. Chairman, Andrew Coleman, General Services Division Administrator for Department of ANI. During the windstorm, we did lose a piece of the HVAC duct work off of the roof of one of the Hirschler buildings. My understanding is it was a air intake for one of the systems there, and we are already working on getting that repaired and replaced. We may have to incorporate some of that along with roof repairs that we're doing for those buildings largely, but we're working on getting at least the temporary fix on that. There was some work in the area of the cup. We had a broken irrigation line, feed line, so not part of the irrigation. It's the main water line that goes into the irrigation. And we found some issues where that had actually eroded even since the capital construction. And so that's what we were fixing.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Mr. Webb, please proceed.
Mr. Chairman, 10B is Department of Corrections. We have Mr. Mike Pacheco here from Department of Corrections. If there's any questions.
Are there questions for Mr. Pacheco? Are there any questions for Mr. Pacheco? Thank you, sir, for being here. We'll move on to the next one, 10C.
Mr. Chairman, I do want to reiterate some of the discussion Director McComey had in Section 8 is that we have done due diligence in 2016 on that property north of Rawlins, and that we've discussed with the town of Rawlins. We've had conversation with them and with OSLI on that purchase.
So, Mr. Webb, just to follow up on that, we have yet to do geotechnical work on that site?
Mr. Chairman, we did geotechnical in
We did.
2016.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Following on, 10C is Wyoming Parks. And we have Director Glenn and Con in the audience, if there's any questions.
Are there questions for Director Glenn? Any questions? Director Glenn, thank you for being here. So, Con, also very good to see you. Mr. Webb, please proceed.
Mr. Chairman, 10D, we have the Military Department. If there's any questions, we have Lieutenant Colonel Kingman and Mr. Muldrow in the audience.
Lieutenant Colonel, Mr. Muldrow, good to see you both here. Let me ask if there are questions. Are there any questions? Does not appear that there are. Thank you very much. Please proceed.
10E and F are the University of Wyoming. And do we have Mr.
I think we have Mr. Mai here.
Mr. Mize here in the audience. If there's any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Mai? Mr. Mai, perhaps I've seen some pictures of the whatever it is, the swimming pool.
Natatorium.
Natatorium, there we go. Is there any, you're nearing completion, and I just wanted to give you the opportunity.
Morning, Mr. Chairman. Yes, the natatorium is nearing completion. It's full of water now. They placed the bulkhead in the main pool at the end of last week. So there's still a little bit of finished work going on inside. The exterior is finishing up as well. And I think substantial completion right now is scheduled for the end of May. Full occupancy by the end of June.
Wow. Is it at a point where we can start scheduling meets and all that sort of thing?
End of June, Mr. Chairman. And that is the plan, is to schedule those meets through the summer and move the team out of Corbett for practices and so forth at that time.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Treasurer.
I'm just curious, what's the seating number in that there for audience?
Mr. Chairman, Treasurer Meyer, don't quote me on this, but I think the number is about 550, about 550
Wow.
It may be a slightly higher than that, but I think it's right in that ballpark.
Okay, well, we'll probably start having state high school meets there one of these days.
Be pretty nice to see, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions? All right, thank you.
Thank
Madam Secretary Norton.
Mr. Chairman, just one thing I'd like to note is that I inadvertently admitted a few pages of the major maintenance report. They did not make it into your print packet. They are a handout, and they have been updated in the online packet. So my apologies.
Thank you. Any questions on, this would be item 10F. You have a handout. Hearing none, please proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, item 11 is the Department of Administration and Information update, including general services, general update, leasing reports, and major maintenance updates. Administrator Coleman and Director Bach are here at the testimony table.
Welcome, Director Bach and Administrator Coleman for the second time. So.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Going through our update for you, we've had quite a few moves to highlight. The Department of Health and WIC, the WIC office in Sheridan, and the Board of Professional Outfitters have both moved. We did want to note that, and this has happened before on the reports, but did want to note for you that if you looked through the reports of the leases, you'll notice that there's 2 listings for those because the prior leases had not, we have a termination clause, but there's a prior notice requirement before that expires. And so we're just in the process, or they may have completed by now, but we're in the process when we sent you these reports of completing those. But the agencies have moved out and are in their new space. The employees group insurance has also moved, not in a leased space situation, but from the state library down to the Rogers building, where we had some space that the Department of Health had occupied while the Hathaway renovations were occurring. This was to accommodate some additional staff that had been already hired by EGI, and they needed a little bit more room for that. So that move has taken place. I did want to mention on the enhanced security at the Supreme Court Clerk's office, that project is almost done. It was adding some protective measures to the front desk there in the clerk's office. If you have a chance to go take a look at it, it's the final product I think is really nice. We had a lot of good work from our carpenters on that, particularly Todd Weedle and Cameron Bogue. I believe also Casey McAfee, Mark Gill, and Brian Griffith from our carpenters worked on that. And I think the final product is very nice. And definitely from folks that have worked, like I have at the Supreme Court building there, an improvement over the prior look in that space, but one that keeps with the building and I think is a nice, should hopefully help them and their concerns on security. We've also continued to work on the selling the properties in Casper, and we'll have additional information for you later in the meeting. The Idleman Kendrick restoration major maintenance project is moving forward. You'll see on some of we wanted to include, like we have in the past reports, some pictures just to kind of show some of the work that's been done and some things we're looking at. We are hoping to start working on, we're in the process of procuring a construction manager at risk to help us work on construction work for that, and are hoping to move forward with that project with some construction, some work starting to happen after August 1st, after all of the busy CFD season. To show you, give you an idea of some of the work that's been done on the planning to the design process, we have a diagram on the second page of our update that includes sort of some shading of some windows where there might be replacement. There's also some historic windows that are shaded in green that we would, rather than replacing, we would look to try to refinish because of their historic nature. We also have, then dark green is highlighted where there's sandstone trim around the building. And on that, you'll notice some areas that are shaded dark red. Those are areas where we have significant deterioration that we've identified that we'll need to be trying to address. And there's also some significant cracks that you'll see as little thin lines of orange through some of the brickwork. So the work we're anticipating will include tuck pointing to repair the brick, as well as working on repairing that sandstone and doing some of the work, the window work. There's also roof work, a number of items that are needed to help maintain the asset. So we can continue to use it for its current purpose.
Director, all right, I'm sorry, Administrator. Question on that, where the cracking is, that's on that new addition that really doesn't match with the original design of the building. Has there been any thought about, I mean, I don't know what that would take to repair all that cracking, but is that a absolutely essential part of the building?
Mr. Chairman, to answer kind of two pieces, answer that in two parts. The diagram you're seeing here is actually the historic side of the building on the facing the Capitol, the north side. So all of the cracking you're seeing on this diagram is actually on the old building. The extension that starts and kind of goes more towards the southern side of the building, that is, I think, approximately about half of the usable square footage in that building. And so we do have that occupied for office use, as well as I think it's all offices now. We had a conference room in there, but we had to convert that for additional offices for our accounting folks. So we do use that additional space. The plan of our project is to shore up where there might be some tuck pointing needed for any brick that is damaged there, as well as window replacement. And the roof on all sides of the structure is both the old and the new needs to be repaired. It was kind of near the end of life already. The hail damage, I think, finished off to the extent it wasn't already. And luckily for us, there is a small amount of money that will be coming from our risk claim for the hail damage that would be applicable to these roofs.
Thanks. You know, I guess what I would refer to as 1950s square glass, that is the piece that I was thinking that doesn't really fit with the rest of the building. And that was the only reason I was asking. I know at times we've talked about whether we would restore that building to what was visible in those original pictures of the Capitol corners being laid. And that was the only reason I was asking that. So, but it sounds like you've worked on it, so.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I guess I will thank you for refreshing my memory on that. Where some of those cracks are is on an addition that is on the north side. You're correct on that. We do have cracks that are on the old part as well as the new part. And I understand now you were referring to the glass block windows.
Yeah.
That are throughout that area. And we also have some of that, I think, on the front face of where the addition was made in I think it was the 40s, a couple of phases in the 40s, but yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Further questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Madam Auditor.
Thanks for that update. On the Idleman, I'm looking back at the major maintenance report. And I see that the exterior restoration project, but I also see the carriage house exterior restoration project. I don't remember, guess I just don't remember that. Could you talk about that a little bit? And I was just sort of, the pricing is interesting. It's almost as much to restore the exterior of the carriage house as it is the Idleman? Or I guess, could you just kind of give me a rundown of what that carriage house restoration involves?
Administrator.
Mr. Chairman, Auditor Racinas, the project that we're referring to, we've referred to it collectively as the Kendrick Idleman Restoration Project. When we refer to that, we're referring to 4 buildings. The Idleman Mansion, the Kendrick Building, as we know them, as well as there's a carriage house behind each one of those buildings. So when we've been working on and kind of providing updates on this, it's been as a whole of all 4 of those buildings. The work in the Idleman Carriage House, which was original to the property, was built along with the mansion, includes roof work, exterior work. There was also some damage inside the building from a fire that we uncovered as we were doing kind of exploration in there, cleaning out some old storage that had been there since the state owned the property or bought the property. There's also the we're looking at possibly upgrading, having to upgrade the stairs to make the upstairs storage area more usable. So I guess I would say there is quite a bit of work there. I don't know that these numbers that are reported on this major maintenance list are really matching what we're looking at now. We've gone through level 1, level 2 equivalent of the design side of the project. We're getting cost estimates for what we think the work that we've identified would need to be done. So the estimates that are in that report, I think you're referring to the one on possibly around page 81. That is, I think, information that was from prior initial estimates.
Thank you.
Thanks. Please proceed.
The last item I wanted to bring to the commission's attention was some information about a flood that I think you probably all had heard about, that happened a couple of weeks before the session began. We had 2 radiators break in the vestibule on the west end of the Capitol. It was after a power bump had affected the HVAC system the night before. It was one of those very cold, windy storms we had this winter. The radiators broke. Luckily, we were able to provide a lot of staffing immediately to go in and move furniture, saving assets, extracting the water, and went to work right away to help address that. We have some pictures on the last page of our update, or the memo up portion of our update, that shows sort of the damage that happened to the radiators, as well as some work that was ongoing when the flooding was occurring. It affected one of the meeting rooms. We now know that the first floor is sloped slightly to the north. So it affected the meeting room on the north side of the hallway. And then it continued down into the garden level of the building, where there's some LSO office space. Fortunately, not a whole lot of the offices down there were affected. It was the common area that you'll see the pictures here that was mostly affected in the middle, immediately underneath the hallway upstairs. That was where the primary amount of flooding occurred. We were able to get in there right away, and I think avoided a lot of damage that would have been caused if the water had been allowed to sit there longer. We were able to get air behind the walls to dry it out for several days. We had the extractors on the carpet. We pulled crew and equipment from all of our buildings to make sure we had all of our water extraction and all of our fans available for this project. The results, I think, have been pretty good. There's still a few things we're trying to clean up. We have some carpet we have to replace. Now the session is over, there's some additional ceiling tiles we will want to replace in the garden level after we used up our on-hand stock for this, as well as I think a few other touch-ups. There's some IT work that I believe LSO was working on. We did file a risk claim for this project, and so costs for repairs are being able to be covered through that claim, so that we'll be able to help LSO out with, to the extent their AV systems were affected up in the meeting room area. I just want to, I guess, reiterate all of my appreciation for everybody that worked on that. Our entire trade section, several grounds folks, a lot of our custodians, and I apologize for leaving off custodial off my written response here. Our risk manager was there in person, as well as I was. LSO staff, we were hauling furniture. We were doing everything we could in the immediate time to get that place cleaned up and dried out. And I think it worked out well. We completed some air testing last week. We are expecting the official report in, they told us a couple of weeks, so it'll be another week or two. But initial information we have was that it came back within normal ranges as far as the air quality testing. So.
Thank you. And I also would like to express my gratitude for how responsive everyone was. It was truly a mess, and seeing everybody busy down there, it was wonderful to see how quickly it was fixed. So thank you, and thanks all the people that you've recognized for that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
That was all I had.
Okay, any questions? All right. The secretary has requested a 10-minute break. So we'll accede to that. We'll be back at 10:05. Senator Driscoll, we're gonna come back to. Very good, thanks. Secretary Norton.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, item 12 is an update from the Capital Interpretive Exhibits and Wayfinding Subcommittee, including the recent Civics Lab ribbon cutting and completion of the exhibit project. You have a handout that we just distributed this morning that is a tour guide for the exhibits, and I invite Co-Chairman Auditor Racines and other subcommittee members, since so many of you are here, to contribute to this conversation. This may be the last time this lands here on our agenda in this way.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I'll recognize Auditor Racines.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mostly exciting updates, I think. As most of you know, after this is really going on 4 years of work, the exhibit and wayfinding project is nearing completion. The handout that the secretary passed out is a sort of rough guide to exhibit locations in the Capitol Square, and that's also available online. I think as all of you or almost all of you were there, we held a ribbon cutting for the Civics Lab in the Capitol Extension last month, and it was really well attended. We had students from Albin Elementary there, and it was really a joyful occasion. And oh gosh, everybody just loved the Civics Lab. They thought it was great. The kids loved it. The kids of all ages up to rather old enjoyed it immensely. So as we, of course, as things move forward, there's always a few things to be tweaked and make sure everything's working and operating as planned. And then I'll just touch on a few of the items that continue to be in play. The acoustics project, as you recall, that has been finalized and is divided into 3 components to sort of move forward with some of those improvements. And then we are also working on, and this was set out in session law, I believe, the finalization of the broadcast studio and the custodial break room are a couple of the things that have not been completed yet. One of the not holdups, but one of the steps that has to happen before those things are completed is there is going to be, statute requires an MOU between, and Suzanne, please correct me if I misstate this. There has to be an MOU between this commission and Management Council in order to access those funds that have been appropriated to the Capitol Square Preservation Account. So that MOU is in flight and will come to us. We can go through that very clearly and make sure we're comfortable with it before any of those funds are spent or any of that moves forward. That's, Mr. Chairman, I'll stop there. And if there's any questions, I'll attempt to answer them accurately.
Mr. Secretary Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I brought this up during my briefing, and I don't know if it got addressed. I didn't get a chance to look today, but I assume the exhibit, the Learning Center is open during the day, and when the door's closed with that tinning, it really does look like it's closed. So I would suggest that we maybe open the door or address the tinning if it is indeed open, because I just think it definitely looks like it's closed during the day. So I don't know. I brought that up in the briefing. They said they were gonna maybe open the door or something. And I just think that it just looks like it's closed, and I'm worried people aren't seeing this investment that the state has made.
Thank you, Secretary Gray. Secretary Norton or Auditor Racines? Secretary Norton.
Mr. Chairman, Secretary Gray, after our briefing, we, on our way to our vehicle, we did swing by, and for the first time in a little while, or with our eyes noticing that the windows have changed and you can actually see in, the glass is transparent and the doors are unlocked. And so it does look, it's not the way it was before. So I don't know if you just darted by and didn't notice, but you might take a second look at it and see that it is different. They have changed the windows on the doors.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Are there other questions? Oh, Mr. Secretary Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one follow-up, and I will take a look at that. I just think maybe if the committee could brainstorm a way to just make it more apparent, because when the door's closed, it just doesn't look like it's open. And it's not immediately apparent, somebody walking down here, that you can just enter this deal. And so I just would suggest, I mean, there's a lot of work and money that has been put into this, that, we look at, some sort of stanchion or opening the door, like the exhibit in the vaults over in the ground floor, because I just really don't think it looks like it's open. I'll look and see this adjustment, but I also think that it's not immediately apparent, even without the tinning, that you can go in. So.
Thank you, Secretary Norton, and then Auditor, did you? Okay, Secretary.
Mr. Chairman, Secretary Gray, I do have one other follow-up. I've just learned that the lights are on a motion sensor, and so the lights aren't on unless there's somebody been in there recently, and we're looking to change that. So that will contribute also.
Thank you, Secretary Norton. Any follow-up on that? Secretary Gray? No more.
Mr. Chairman, I just, in my opinion, I think that a stanchion would work really well there. I mean, and, I think that it would look really good to say something like, open exhibit or something like that. Just an idea.
Thank you. Further, Madam Auditor, any comment you had?
No, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate that feedback. And particularly if the lights are on during business hours, I think that will help. And we will, I believe we have a subcommittee meeting 2 weeks from now, and we can bring that up as well.
Okay. I might recognize your co-chair, Senator Landon. Anything you want to add?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't need to. As always, the co-chairman has covered a lot of ground and done a great job. I always want to take a minute to tip my hat to that subcommittee. We have a lot of ex officio members on that committee who played very big roles over the last 4 years. And can't say enough about the co-chairman and the work and the hours that she put in. Treasurer Meyer has been there every step of the way. It really was heartwarming to be able to kind of put the cherry on the sundae, Mr. Chairman. When we opened the civics lab, it was a great turnout. Saw a lot of friends who contributed to this project way back when we began renovation of the state capitol. So it was a great day and a great finish to about 4 years of work. So thank you for the opportunity to say a couple of things, but really appreciate that subcommittee. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there other questions, comments? Well, to the co-chairs, the job well done. Thank you very much for your efforts in leading all of that. Madam Auditor.
Mr. Chairman, and as the SBC Secretary mentioned, I would think that perhaps we could maybe report on a more ad hoc basis to this commission as needed. There will still be things that we need to report to this committee, but there will be less maybe up to the minute updates as were necessary when we were under construction.
Thank you, Madam Auditor. Or Secretary, gosh, I'll get through this today. Secretary Norton.
Item 13, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, item 13 is public comment, followed by commission comments if there are any. and confirmation of the next scheduled meeting date of July 8th, 2026.
Very good. Well, I will call for public comment. Is there anyone in the room who would like to address the State Building Commission? Is there anyone online? I'll go one more time. Anyone here in the room? Anyone online? Very good. We'll proceed to commission comments. So with that, Mr. Secretary, is there a comment that you have? Okay. Madam Auditor? Mr. Treasurer?
Yeah, just wondering, yeah, are the school facility commissions, are they posted on a calendar? Because I'm concerned about the BOCES situation that we have with facilities and wanted to get a little bit more, I guess, familiar with what's going on with the school facilities.
Director McComey?
Mr. Chairman, yes, it is posted on our website for the upcoming meetings through the year. Much like this commission, we do from time to time have an additional meeting, but it's generally to address a specific topic such as a Mercer study, most cost-effective remedy study. But yes, it is posted out there.
Thank you. Madam Superintendent?
No comment at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Driscoll? Good. Senator Landon?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm good to go. Thanks.
Oh, very good. Representative Nicholas? We're good. All right. Secretary Norton?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, item 14 is a request to enter executive session to discuss first real estate matters and receive confidential legal advice as authorized under the Public Meetings Act.
Thanks very much. Members of the commission, you've heard the request. I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we enter into executive session for the permitted purposes of receiving confidential legal advice and also discussing real estate matters.
Thank you. Is there support for the auditor's motion?
Second.
It's been seconded by the superintendent. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? We are now entering into executive session. I think if we can secure the room, that'll be great.
For the room,
Thank you, Stefan, for being here. I don't know if we have any questions. I think we're just back in open session, and so we'll recognize that ANI has returned to the room and a few others. Madam Secretary, I'm going to suggest that we continue with the meeting. So,
Mr. Chairman, I agree.
okay. Is there anything more to come before us?
I would like to ask if Administrator Coleman feels that he has what he needs.
Administrator, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if the commission would feel like they would like to do a formal motion about the discussion regarding the appraisals. If not, we can proceed as I think we discussed. But that's the pleasure of the
All right.
commission.
Thank you. Administrator?
Mr. Chairman, I would move that the commission approve ANI obtaining updated appraisals for two properties, those at 100 West Midwest Avenue and 246 South Center Street. And then that those would come back to this commission for consideration and potential further action.
Second.
And before you second, Madam Auditor, did we want to break that also with land and both with the land appraisal and
Yes,
Really?
Mr. Chairman.
okay, thank you. Is that that is a second? Is there any further discussion on that? Further discussion? Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? That's a no. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Coleman, Administrator. Secretary Norton.
Mr. Chairman, Commission. With that, we're ready for adjournment.
All right, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Nays? We are adjourned. Thank you.